Cameron just took it. Thank you.
We are on. Well, welcome everyone. Tonight is February 4th, 2021, and we are here for a regularly scheduled Newmarket School Board meeting. As we always do, we'll start out with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will start out the meeting entertaining any public comment. Please approach.
It's been so long.
Afraid to touch the microphone. Right, just leave it. Can you guys hear me okay, or should I move it?
I can hear you fine.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I wonder if the TV people can.
The public, yeah, okay. My name's Amanda Ray. I live at 6 Raymond Lane. I have a first grader in the district who thinks Mr. Hollick is the best. Just thought I would mention that. So I wanted to come out tonight. I wanted to start by just expressing gratitude for everybody who is here and for all of the teachers in the district, because we know that this is a crazy year in terms of getting just an everyday job done. So thank you guys for your service. The reason that I wanted to come today was to be able to kind of speak to the vote for superintendent employment agreement renewal. And what I wanted to just mention is, because I've started already just to see different things pop up online, and what I just wanted to urge was just transparency in terms of like what you're thinking, and really explaining the why behind, you know, what you're thinking and why you're moving forward. Because I think that when you, just like you guys have on the agenda, when you talk about onboarding new school board members, kind of think of onboarding the public in terms of policies and procedures and how things work. Because I think when the public understands like how things work and how it usually goes and all the pieces in play, it just makes it a lot easier for people to understand, you know, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then people can focus on the actual issues instead of getting caught up in the craziness that can ensue when people are kind of left to determine why and when and timing and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to kind of urge that, just kind of explain why and when, so that people can have a better chance, I think, at understanding and moving forward. And I just wanted to also urge just openness in terms of listening, because I know I personally have had a great experience in terms of being able to participate as a parent, to be involved and looking at the big picture for everything. And I know with like Susan's work and everything that she's doing for the district, and just all the informational sessions and all these pieces that are helping us to move forward. And also just where the attention of our district is going. So I know that as everybody's kind of where the public's eye is and what's happening, after watching the January 7th meeting on NEASC and just where we are in terms of curriculum, for me personally, as a parent, as an educator, I just really want our attention to be on, you know, what's best for our teachers and students as we're coming back. Into session, hopefully post-COVID, or, you know, on the tail end in the fall, and then also just looking at that curriculum piece. So that's really all I just wanted to be able to say, just again, in terms of like looking at the atmosphere in town and just encouraging just like that transparency and openness. And I think it helps so much with that communication, so people can have a sense that their voices are being heard and that everybody's, you know, everybody's represented by you guys, and we appreciate that. I just wanted to say that to kind of a little bit, if it does. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We did receive a couple of notes via email. I'm just going to try to test my eyesight here and read this.
Yeah, I can't.
And it's rather lengthy, so please bear with me. This email is from Jen Weaselquist, a former board member. I'm writing regarding the vote to renew our superintendent's employment agreement. Dr. Givens has done an outstanding job leading the school district in the short time that she has been with us. In particular, she has developed and implemented a plan to ensure that our students receive an education with a priority on safety during the pandemic. As you know, she has not done this alone. From the beginning, she has involved her administrative team, teachers, and volunteers from the community in the decision-making process. Dr. Givens has been more welcoming of community input than any other Newmarket superintendent in the 17 years that I've lived here. The result is that Newmarket students have had more in-school learning this year than any other district in our area. I would also like to recognize Dr. Givens' leadership in developing a data-driven, transparent, fiscally responsible budget for the upcoming year. For the second year, she presented the school board with a budget that they could unanimously support, a good sign that is sound, well thought out, and ready for the upcoming community vote. Furthermore, we have seen evidence of Dr. Givens' leadership in addressing Newmarket's long neglected curriculum needs. Last year, she directed an overhaul of the high school program of studies, providing new in-person learning opportunities with less reliance on VLAX classes. She has also ensured that the upper elementary school grades would have the budget for an updated reading curriculum. This year, she has drawn our attention to the fact that our entire school curriculum needs to be updated in order to meet the requirements for NEASC accreditation. Although our NEASC review 10 years ago alerted us to this fact, it is likely that our focus on much-needed facilities expansion and lack of stability in district administration has led to curriculum development falling through the cracks. Fortunately, Dr. Givens and her administrative team have started to develop a plan to address our curriculum needs. I look forward to watching them develop the updated, cohesive, consistent curriculum that will prepare our students for the lives beyond our schools. In summary, it is clear that Dr. Givens has excelled at her work, is fully capable of leading our district in future challenges, and is deserving of a renewed employment agreement. Thank you, Jen Weaselquist. So we received a couple of other emails that the folks didn't ask that they be read, but I think I'll read them if that's fine with folks. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, let's not guess, let's just read them, okay? Because they were sent to the entire board, and just so folks know, just for information, if you send something to the entire board, it becomes like a public document too. So, and that's the same if we send collectively documents to anybody. So, under the right to know provision. So, bear with me while I find these. Is another board member able to use their phone? Do you want to read them?
I was gonna say, you're going through all your air purifiers?
Let me catch my breath from that last one.
She has a year and a half left on this contract. Her contract ends in September of 2022. Also, I would like an explanation to action item number 5. Why this change now? What problem are you trying to solve? If there is a problem, please explain the rationale. The policy that is in place has worked for many, many years for this small town, and I feel that this is being rushed through for some reason, especially when the superintendent's contract is not up until September 2022. I feel this should be discussed at length with the upcoming new board, which is only 4 to 5 weeks away. Thank you, Heather DeRoyce. Okay, next one is from Jessica Hinch. And it says, "Dear members of the Newmarket School Board, I am writing as a citizen of the town of Newmarket, as well as a parent of 2 junior-senior high school students." Logging up here. "I would like to start by saying I appreciate all the time and hard work you put in for our town and our children. Your work is vital to our school district, and its continued success is only possible if we all move forward working together as a community. At the January 21st meeting, a motion was made to delay the discussion of the superintendent's contract until after the March election, although September is when her contract is due for renewal. Given the events that have taken place during the superintendent's tenure and the impact that it has had on the Newmarket community, I feel this motion warranted further discussion. The issue of evaluating the superintendent's performance has been raised and ignored repeatedly. Transparency in this process is essential if the town is to regain its trust in the superintendent and the school board. Rather than moving forward with the renewal with little discussion, I urge you to involve teachers, principals, students, other school staff, and community members in this process in order to gather data and allow for a more informed decision. Again, time in service to our town. Sincerely, Jessica Hinchcliffe." Don't know, there might be one more. I don't know if I have that one. Oh, okay.
I think there was one more, Amy.
The Jennifer Fickett. "As a resident, a taxpayer, a parent of a current student, and a graduate of Newmarket High School, I respectfully ask that you vote no to renewing the contract for Superintendent Gibbons. Thank you for our service to our town." And then that other one that I think you already, Bridget Conley?
That was just a
okay.
request for a document.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's it.
That is it. Any other public comment? Is there anybody online? It doesn't look like it, so with that, we'll close public comment and move to our agenda. I neglected, again, to put the school representative on. Taylor, are there any updates?
So swim team is having their second meet at the Dover Indoor Pool on Sunday, which is really cool because we didn't really think we'd have it. The girls and boys varsity basketball has a game against Deerfield this Friday. Girls is at 5 p.m. and boys is at 6:30 p.m. The student council recently made a teacher appreciation video and will be selling carnation flowers Thursday, February 11th before and after school. Also, the Model UN is preparing for their first conference this year. It's going to be held by New York Mun. Obviously, we're not going to go, but we're going to attend that conference, which is exciting because we very much enjoyed it last year.
Remember that conference last year at the UN was just before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just right in March, I think. But, all right. Susan, superintendent's report.
Okay, so in your packet, I thought you might enjoy reading a little bit about the collaborative efforts between the school department and the recreation department. We had brought this forward to you a couple of meetings ago, and we're moving forward with additional programming. So this programming is developed by a small team of school personnel and some parents and the rec department, and it's available to any Newmarket. Some of the programming specifically targeted to students. Some could be something of interest to anyone, no matter what age they are. And as you know, we aren't able to provide a full complement of co-curricular programs, so this is our way of being able to offer a little joy to members of the community during this difficult time. Whether you're a student or a staff member or a parent, you know, having something to look forward to uplifts people and helps them to shift from thinking about things that are not necessarily things you have control over or that are different than they are or normally would be, to something that you wouldn't necessarily otherwise engage in. So we have all kinds of different types of programs, and I thought I would just remind members of the community and our students and you know, parents and staff to please you know, look at the website and see if there's something of interest to you. We have many new things that are popping up that will be starting in the next couple of weeks. So whether you're interested in a lecture or some cooking classes or a little movement or some mindfulness, or we're trying to queue up some intro to guitar and keyboarding and other things. If you have wanted to try one of those things in the past and never really had the time, maybe you have a little bit more time now and you'd enjoy doing that. So that's, again, free to all members of the Newmarket community. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that, because we have a couple new things that are being added in the next couple of weeks. The second thing was to give an update on administrative goals, but because our meeting was canceled on Tuesday due to our snow event, we weren't able to kind of complete our work around that, so I'll postpone that to a future meeting. And I did want to give two other updates. One is on last year at this time, we had a warrant article for about $421,000 that included a whole variety of things that we wanted to have resources for and use bond money to fund. One of those was some duct work at the elementary school, an old section that was not part of the renovation project, and our previous facilities director estimated the cost would be about $1,000. And so Jana and Dave Cressy, our interim facilities person, have been working with a consultant to come in and really hone in and identify what the issues are, and there's 3 issues. And those issues, the total cost of those, you know, collectively are $9,000, or a little over 9,000, not 90,000.
That's not the way I was expecting that to go.
Me neither.
Yes,
So 81,000 difference.
yes, yeah. So that's
Wow.
positive news. Certainly, I bring it up both because it's a wonderful thing to know, but also because we have a policy that says whenever feasible, we would get multiple bids on this. Many of you may remember that in the building project, we still have some HVAC things that we're trying to resolve, and we did bid HVAC services, and we do have a contract for PMs, and the company that would be doing it is that company, and because the price is significantly less and we don't want another contractor going in and tampering with any part of our HVAC while it's not fully commissioned and we still have issues, we don't want to introduce another vendor. The prices seem very reasonable, and move forward without introducing another vendor into the mix, since the prices are very affordable for the work that needs to be done. So I wanted to mention that. And then the other thing is that back in November, we had multiple conversations about going to remote learning after our various breaks, and the board took action to not go into a remote session after April. And if we needed to, then we would come back and discuss that further. And the board also had asked that in January I kind of give you an update, which I did do. But I also thought, since people have maybe you're percolating around what's happening around April vacation, that maybe I would just take a moment tonight to talk a little bit about that. So the board, at that time when we discussed it, thought, let's hold off because lots can happen in April. And of course, we were all hoping maybe a vaccine would come, and this was before we knew that a viable vaccine was out there. And of course, the flu season data that we had been looking at, kind of showed that, in April, by the time you get to April, flu is not, as significant of an issue. And so for all those reasons, we all felt it was prudent not to take any action on that. And so I've said to staff, and anytime I'm asked, that after April, at this time, we are not intending on going to a remote model of instruction. That is our intention, unless something changes, for us to stay in person after the April break. If something, like I said, if something changes and that there's, a reason to reconsider that, I would bring that to you as soon as I have that. But we know, based on the conversation I had earlier today with superintendents in the state, that they're hopeful that they'll start vaccinating educators in April. So if the vaccinations come through for us in April, and the flu season isn't extended, or there's no huge outbreak or anything like that, I don't see any reason why we would go to remote. Remote is not our preference. We've all fought really hard to keep our kids in, and we will continue to do so.
Any chance we can go in person, like during April vacation and summer vacation? No offense.
Well, actually, we're having conversations about what to do around the COVID slide, and are there some opportunities to take advantage. Our enemy is twofold. One is time, and the other one is having staff available to do the work that needs to be done. So I just thought it would be important to publicly say that, and remind people that it is not our intention to go remote after April. It's not our intention to do that. Though, as we've seen, like today, some things are beyond our control, and sometimes we have to. But it's not out of a desire to do so. It's out of a necessity to do so. So if there's no necessity, we will be in session. We want our kids here. Kids learn best when they're in school. Most kids work best when they're in school. There's many more values besides learning academics that children receive by being together here. And I think we've all learned that firsthand through this pandemic. So those were my updates for tonight.
Great. Any questions?
I was wondering about savings from the network. Can any of that be used toward the drug replacement in elementary school?
The money that's available from the interest expires at the end of June. And so there's other projects that we kind of are trying to queue up that targeted. And if we have time to queue that up, we certainly could. But time is a precious commodity right now, and it does take time. Our facilities director will be starting on Monday, actually. And we have put together quite a long list of projects, and he'll be here at your next meeting, where we conduct mostly business, and we'll let you know all the things that are on his plate to try to accomplish in a short period of time. So we'll have an update on some of those projects, Gary, at the next meeting.
I think either Jan or you explained last time or recently that money has to be actually encumbered before the end of the fiscal year. Doesn't mean the work has to be done, but you have to have like a purchase order for it, as I understood. So,
Yes.
but that's great news.
Yeah.
So when a lot of those things were prepared, they were high level estimates, and you don't necessarily know what the precise cost is on those things, and till people get in and do a more thorough sort of, start taking things apart and realize. So that's good news.
Yeah.
And they were conservative, obviously,
Yeah.
to the tune of 9 times. But great. Any other questions? Okay, so Relatedly, on our discussion items, it's probably time, we're getting really towards the end of everything, and to have another joint meeting with the school board and the building committee. As I mentioned at the last meeting, there's approximately, this is different from the money Susan's talking about on the warrant article, there's approximately $220,000 left over on the project. And right from the get-go of the project, when it was put out for a bond vote, we had a list of what we called ad alternates. We didn't know, we were working with old buildings, and we didn't know until you start taking things apart precisely what you would find. And so we didn't commit to those things until we got along on the process where we felt comfortable with what we were facing and in the amount of funds we had left for the project. As the project went along, this is more informational, but I'll get to my point, is that we did agree to adopt a few of these. Like if folks have been in the elementary gym, there's this stuff, I think the brand name is Cowwall, and it's rather than having just cinder block all the way up to the ceiling and no natural lighting, with the advice of the building committee at that time and in agreement by the board, we decided to put that in. Makes a huge difference. It's such a much more pleasant space. Similarly, at the cafetorium during the project, we agreed to insert the solar tubes, which provides natural lighting as well. I think another item on the adultness list was the bleachers at the elementary.
Yeah.
And I think air conditioning in the library at the elementary school. So you'd have a place during the summer, if you're doing summer school, that was tolerable to have people in. There may have been a few other ones. We have a list of those left. One of the bigger items is the finishing off landscaping, of the courtyard to make it sort of a usable outdoor space. There was a design for that. There's some other landscaping projects. But we'll provide a list of those remaining ad alternates, or everybody's seen it at one point, but we'll re-provide that. But I thought it'd be nice to get the building committee's take on those two, as we've done all along, to sort of do an omnibus sort of review of the finances, the final meeting, and final issues. Now, there may be a few minor issues to wrap up after that point in time. I'm thinking late in February in terms of HVAC. I hope not, but it won't be a lot. We really narrowed it down, but I don't think we should keep the building committee, sort of hanging on this.
No.
They've done their job, and I just want to provide them with, sort of a capstone meeting. Another aspect of that meeting would be to discuss what, our maintenance plans are, because, we want to keep these assets in good shape in years to come, and I'm sure they do. That was always our mantra throughout the entire project, so we'll cover that as well. So that's a long way of saying, and I hope we have our calendars here tonight. I'd like to see if we can maybe pick a date. Is the February vacation week bad for people? Are people leaving, or are they staying, or what's the?
I'll be here.
I'm not going anywhere. You're
No, I'm
gone.
not gonna be here.
You're gone. All right. I think February vacation week is the week of the 22nd. And what we may choose, what we may choose to do, and we can talk about that too here tonight, if we have another meeting scheduled on the 18th.
That's what I was gonna suggest.
You know,
Yeah.
we may be ready by then, but, Susan, what do you have envisioned on the 18th in terms of substantive issues?
It would be, facilities
Okay,
anyways.
so if we pushed it off to the next week, we wouldn't be holding you up on anything?
No.
Okay. If it's everyone's pleasure, I'd like to maybe do it on the 25th. Would that work? And I'd say probably the same time, 5 o'clock. And that's school vacation. I wonder if can we hold it at the school, or is it we're not supposed to be in there? Or what's the deal? I know we did it last time back in.
Well, we can't use the cafetorium for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Depends on how big the group is, and, if I can touch base with Jamie and see if we have any basketball or anything else in there, in the gym, maybe we could.
Let's
Do a
figure
bigger
that out.
meeting
I'll
in
run
there.
that date by the building committee. We'll see how many of them can attend. I know there's a few that aren't even in the state, so
Yeah.
they won't attend. They might attend remotely. So, we can figure out the numbers.
Yeah, I won't, I'm on vacation that week, so I
Okay.
can remote in, but I won't be there physically.
Yep, okay. So let's call it the 25th at 5 o'clock, and we'll determine the location. Great. The next item on our agenda is this school board, new school board member onboarding, and I sent around something. I had hoped to get it to you guys earlier. It's only a page long, but I was running with my hair on fire at work this week, so at my work job. What I just sort of proposed by this is one of our board goals this year, or a subset of one of our board goals, to look at our new school board member onboarding process. As you can see, we do have a policy already, but it really doesn't say much. It doesn't really guide us, and it tells us what documents we might want to, what we should give to board members, and I think those documents are valuable. But we may have discussed this at a retreat. I know we discussed it at one point, but it would be valuable if we had a structured, process, calendar, and not, where we cover issues in several sessions. It's really tough to sort of sit in one session, marathon session, and try to absorb everything. And I think, and I'm just proposing this, what may work best is that we work on a calendar, and I think we can do this between now and next meeting without too much difficulty. It's not rocket science, and just put down the topics we all think ought to be covered, and maybe rough out a schedule. And it doesn't have to be written in stone. It'll depend on folks' schedule, but maybe over a certain period of time that we make sure that we get all these things covered. Nothing in this obviously is written in stone either. One thing that I didn't put in here that we should definitely put in is covering communications in 91A, and I actually was looking at a document that it was sort of a Q&A. It was actually out of a New York school district, but it was generally applicable in terms of I'm a new school board member. If I have this question, who do I go to? Type of thing. I think we can borrow, if I can use that term, from things like that. And then, I listed out some things here that really came to mind. I'd like to hear from you, whether it's tonight or in the next couple of weeks, or what other things, especially you, Amy, and Gary, having been through it, what would be helpful to a new school board member.
And I think that would be especially helpful for me, having you guys gone through it with Mike, since we weren't privy to that, just what you guys found helpful, what was lacking, I think that would be beneficial to all.
Okay.
And ideas that we would have too, but especially you guys.
Yeah. And what I'm gathering is it often is the case that the board chair and this superintendent will sort of coordinate that process and sit in on it.
That's the way it used to be. The first thing you did, sworn in, and you met with the superintendent.
That's
And-
typical.
Yeah, that's the first thing that should happen, and then you slowly get to learn all the
I
stuff.
think a lot of it is sort of driven by times of the year that things happen.
Yeah.
We get into the budget situation. What does that look like? What is it gonna look like? What are the expectations of me as a board member in this process? Where do I fall into it?
Yep.
I think that's the kind of thing you get on a loose calendar, because obviously things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
But sort of, looking at things that happen on the annual basis to fill in things at appropriate times. I mean, and there are gonna be things that come up before that time, and you can address those, but just sort of a process that way might make sense.
I think that the biggest thing that I learned was the communication through Jim Hayes. Like, he's the first one who said, if you put it in an email, it can end up in the newspaper. I think that would be really important to get right across from the beginning. These guys didn't get it because COVID. Like,
Yeah, did we do it remotely, I think? Yeah. But, yeah,
What to do
and-
when you get an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do when you do that? I mean, and just there's a lot of things. When all of us came on board, that are just counterintuitive, you know, in terms of, you know, what we do and what we don't do. And some folks may be better with that knowledge coming in, who knows, but
It probably would take a lot off the chair too, because I think I bugged you a lot at the beginning, asking you questions and so
at the
if we
beginning,
have-
Amy.
At the beginning. Continual.
Yeah, no, it's all good, but, take a look. And I don't think we have any bizarre onboarding policies lurking in some other area of our policies that I'm aware of. I did a,
You just don't mention them until people sign on.
right, so, any
And
other
so,
thoughts?
We would want to put this in a policy as well, right, afterwards, if we, some type of orientation?
You know what we could do, Amy, for consideration, I don't know as we, let's talk about it, but maybe that, high level that we're gonna do it on a calendared sort of basis.
Gotcha.
And the board can decide, whether they, you know, what particularity they want on that.
I think it's sort of, you know, we had a policy committee meeting yesterday, and sort of looking at having a policy and then having a procedure in the policy, and how we shouldn't really have procedures in the policies. So maybe we have a policy that says what's gonna happen, and then the procedure is housed somewhere else and not in a policy per se.
Yeah.
Sort of having them both, you know, like we looked at yesterday,
Right.
just to sort of repeat that, and get that in the mindset for everything that we do.
And I think that, you know, that if we do a good job on this calendar, with minor tweaks, it can apply from year to year to year. We won't have to reinvent the wheel,
Right.
so.
And then could you put, that one point we had the book. I mean, that could be part of the thing, that could be the calendar, onboarding, the superintendent
Yep.
gives the onboarding book.
We can talk about the book. I mean, I looked at my old one, and
Yeah.
it was essentially, it was, you know, this thick of all the print and policies.
Yeah.
We killed a couple trees with that. You know, it had the old town report, the most recent one. It had a few other things. I just
had the
kind of think
budget.
that, like, you can get online and find that stuff
Right,
now.
yeah.
And as soon as you print out one of those policies, booklets, if we start changing things, you don't know what's what.
Yeah.
But it's all kept current online.
I think maybe a resource that says this is where you go to
Yes.
find that. This is how you find the policies on the website.
Well, in fact, if you look at,
Those types of things.
yeah, if you look at our policy, I think that we may have changed it last year. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. It all says in parens online now, so I can't recall if we added that last, you know, in January of 19, but. No, probably not. Probably not. Any other thoughts on that issue?
I agree, Greg.
So we'll come back at that next meeting, and we'll come up with a calendar. We'll get it out to you sooner than I did today, so you guys can digest it and make it better. All right. So on action items, we have approval of minutes from the 21st and the 27th. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from, what was the date again? January 21st, 2021.
January 21st, public, and January 22nd.
Second.
Edits, comments, anything else? Amy's flipping through. Nothing? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. And then does somebody have the manifest?
Oh. Right here.
Approve the manifest.
Okay, which one? Uh-oh. Okay, so the payroll manifest is $410, and that's dated for 2/5/21, and total, right? Oh, just do the total? Okay. So then the total vol manifest is $733.98.42.
Is there a second? Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. On item number 3, Susan, we have a donation from Bottom Line Technologies.
We do, and we certainly appreciate all donations. So it's, let's see, I'll find it in my list here. There we go. So this one, yes, this one's from Bottom Line, and it's a program which allows team members to request corporate funds to be allocated to charities of their personal preference. And so this donation is made on behalf of Kevin Donahue in the amount of $98.
That's nice.
Yeah, thank you. I would seek a motion to approve that donation.
I'll second it.
Thanks again to Bottom Line. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's approved. All right. So bear with me. I would seek a motion. We've got several things. I'd seek a motion to go into non-public pursuant to RSA 91A 3 Roman 2, sections A, B, C, E, and L.
So moved.
Second.
By roll call vote, Ms. Shelton.
Aye.
Ms. McKinney.
Aye.
The chair says aye. Ms. Tilton.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson. We are in non-public at 5:42. Thank you.